We are thrust into 4th century Britain, a place where the Roman Empire has left a power vacuum. We meet Elphin, a young prince who is widely considered the unluckiest man in his village. He tries his hand at fishing, and after a few moments of disappointment, he pulls a mysterious bundle from the river. He finds a baby who miraculously returns to life, a child who will eventually grow up to be the legendary bard Taliesin. While Taliesin is busy coming of age, the show takes us across the sea to witness the literal end of Atlantis. Princess Charis is a powerhouse of a woman who leaps over bulls for sport as a tribute to her people's underworld god, the Horned God, or Bel. Her first battle in the arena goes smoothly, but the second bull is no ordinary temple animal. It is the god himself, in physical form. The bull brutally injures Charis, and when she desperately asks what the gods want from her, the beast replies with a chilling demand for everything. This divine encounter triggers a massive earthquake, and although the chaos briefly stops when Charis surrenders, the bull dies on its own, and a catastrophic volcanic eruption swallows their home. 20 years later, the world has shifted. Taliesin's father is now the head of the clan, and Taliesin is praying at a sacred druid circle when a mysterious old man appears. The stranger asks him to lift a sacred stone that has been fallen for ages, and Taliesin discovers a skeleton and a knife beneath it. The moment he touches the blade, he is pulled into a terrifying vision where the god Cernunnos demands he become a herald. However, Taliesin cuts down the sacred rock instead, essentially walking away from the Dark Pact just as barbarians invade his town. The battle for the village is a bloody affair. They are ultimately defeated. The survivors seek refuge in the court of King Avallac'h, who has established himself as a ruler in Britain after the fall of Atlantis. The king introduces his daughter, Charis. Taliesin is immediately mesmerized by her, and during a dinner where he is asked to sing, his voice allows him to peer directly into her soul, where he sees the bull incident. It seems she renounced her god and prayed to another, but it is not really clear what she did yet. Taliesin seeing all of this makes her feel so exposed that she walks out of the hall. Taliesin chases after her but is intercepted by her sister Morgane, who is deeply jealous of her sister and hungry for supernatural power. She is tending to a horse in labor that needs to be flipped, and Taliesin uses the power of the 4th emanation to make the horse stand and reposition itself without spilling a drop of blood. Morgane is fascinated by this clean magic and tries to show affection, but Taliesin brushes her off to find Charis. When he finally catches up to the princess, he apologizes for intruding on her thoughts, and reveals that Cernunnos offered him the same dark deal the bull offered her. When Charis says then damn us both, it suggests that they have both chosen to defy the old gods and face whatever punishment comes their way. Even though Morgane insists she doesn't truly care for Taliesin and only wants to get close to him to harness his powers, we catch glimpses of her obsession. She secretly uses a crag to spy on Taliesin and Charis. Her emotions betray her as she breaks down in tears when Charis rejects Taliesin, even though it is clear Charis actually harbors feelings for him that cannot be fulfilled. When Morgane realizes that it is Charis he desires, she sacrifices the newborn foal, signaling that she is about to perform a powerful and dangerous magic. After being rejected by the courtly life, Taliesin finds a hut that monks consider a sacred place for the Christian god. Just as he approaches the hut, a massive blast of light burns him, mirroring the intensity of his vision at the stone circle, and proving that multiple divine forces are fighting for control over his future. After being scorched by the divine light at the sacred hut, Taliesin wakes up in a state of holy delirium. His father, Elphin, eventually snaps him out of it because they have to pack their bags immediately. King Avallac'h has offered them land, but there is a major catch. They must stay and protect the fair folk, Charis people, since Elphin's people are a warrior clan. Elphin finds the offer insulting, because it basically turns his proud warriors into slaves. Before the clan can retreat, Taliesin sneaks back to see Charis one last time, but things get weird fast. He finds her in the stable, and she immediately goes in for a kiss, which Taliesin finds incredibly suspicious given their history. It turns out his instincts are spot on, because the sacrifice Morgane made in the first episode allowed her to transform into her sister. Taliesin manages to shatter the illusion, and a desperate Morgane proposes they get married and rule the world together. Taliesin isn't buying it and introduces her to his new faith, explaining that while her gods demand you sacrifice what you love, his god is the one who sacrificed what he loved for humanity. The real Charis is out in the woods when she is ambushed by Irish raiders. She holds her own for a while, but just as she is being overpowered, Taliesin arrives to save the day. Once the attackers are dealt with, Taliesin realizes he can't live without her and asks her to marry him. Charis resists at first, but she eventually kisses him. Both of them tries to convince their fathers to reconsider, but unfortunately, both of them are being stubborn. King Avallac'h is disgusted by the idea of his daughter marrying a barbarian and forbids her from leaving the palace. While Elphin is so offended by the king's slave labor offer that some of his men even suggest attacking the Atlanteans since they can't fight back, but Taliesin manages to talk them out of it. Charis tries to sneak out of the palace, but Morgane immediately snitches on her to their father. This is incredibly cold when you consider the history between them. During the volcanic eruption in Atlantis, Charis was the one who saved her father and then risked everything to go back into the fire to rescue a young Morgane. Because of Morgane's tip-off, King Avallac'h locks Charis in her room, hoping to keep her there until Taliesin's people are long gone. Taliesin isn't leaving without his girl, though, so he sneaks into the palace to rescue Charis. They agree to elope, and Charis offers him a special sword forged in Atlantis as a symbolic acceptance of his proposal. She originally made it for her father during a time when they were estranged, but now she is handing it to her husband as a symbol of their new life together. When Taliesin draws the blade, the engraved words actually speak to him, and he is able to read the ancient language despite not being one of the fair folk. They decide to leave the sword behind as a message to King Avallac'h that they will return if he ever chooses peace over pride. They start making out, but Taliesin, now officially a Christian man, wants them to get married first. Charis is done trusting any more gods, but Taliesin asks that she trust him. They get baptized by the priests he met at the sacred hut and get married too. They flee to the city of King Pendragon, akin to Dafydd, the priest that wed them, even rescuing an injured Merlin bird along the way. The king's priest decides to challenge Taliesin, as he believes men of God are jokes, calling Taliesin a blasphemer. The king orders him flogged and thrown out, but Taliesin proves himself by making the priest unable to form a coherent sentence just by saying shh. The king's men try to attack, but Taliesin starts singing, and everyone's resolve fails. Even the king calls Taliesin master, and offers to protect him as long as he remains in the city. A few months later, a pregnant Charis and Taliesin are on a mountain, where Taliesin proclaims his dream of being a king to a world that is united, peaceful, and where the true God is worshipped. Charis falls into labor right there and is carried home, but the baby refuses to come. Taliesin starts praying to God when his mentor, Halfdan and Dafydd, arrives with news that King Avallac'h has made peace with Elfin. He also wants to make peace with his daughter by offering Taliesin his kingdom and sends the Atlantis sword as a show of his sincerity. Taliesin is to be the king of the Summerland, which is basically the combination of both kingdoms, but for now they have to attend to Charis. Unfortunately, she gives birth to a stillbirth, which shatters everyone's heart. Taliesin carries the child into the rain, crying out to Jesu and singing with everything he has. In a stunning miracle, the boy comes to life with glowing eyes. Before they can even celebrate the miracle, an arrow pierces Taliesin,